Hello and happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Thank you for joining us, and we are very excited to share some momentous news with you. Before we get to that though, we want to say sorry that it's taken us so long to get this update out to you. However, one of the main reasons for that was because we wanted to have some solid good news to share with you instead of just, oh, we think it might happen or it might not happen, but to actually be able to tell you. So we're very excited to announce that the two children who've stayed within our haven for the longest time, 5.5 years, have finally been adopted. On the 24th of November, they were in court with their American family, and all the paperwork was signed, everything went through, and it went through absolutely amazingly. It's been such a privilege to see Owanke and Asipe bond with their new family, with their parents, with their brothers and sisters, and just to see such a beautiful family come into fruition, into completion. And it's been a really tough road, not only for Owanke and Asipe, but also for the adoptive family who were matched to Owanke and Asipe 2.5 years ago and have had to wait and fight for 2.5 years to finally meet their children. And we have been very privileged to be part of that journey and to be part of the team that fought so hard for Owanke and Asipe to be adopted. The other really exciting news is that we actually have 3 other adoptions that are due to come into fruition within the next few months. So we've got a set of twins.
4.
4?
Little boys.
4, I'm miscounting. So we've got a set of twins
Yes.
who will be adopted pretty soon. We have a little 2-year-old girl who's going to be adopted, so we're still waiting for her to be matched. And the 4th is
Little boy who was born in August a year ago, so he's now about 16 months, and the plan is for adoption for him as well. We do have one space at the haven currently because one of our babies is with his granny, and so it's like a leave of absence. So on paper he's still in our care, but he's with her over Christmas, which is lovely.
So the long-term plan is
well.
for her to be, or for him to be reunited with his granny, and for the legal care to swap from us to her. But until that happens, we aren't able to fill the space. And the other adoption we wanted to quickly update you on is for our daughter Mosa. And we're very excited that we have actually seen some movement in this towards the end of this year. And so we've had permission from local DSD to continue with proceeding after the adoption, and a new court order keeping her in our care for a further 2 years, and while we can hopefully finalise her adoption. The big hurdle that's happening is we are Irish on paper because of our passports, but there's very little, there's no avenue for an Irish person to adopt within South Africa unless we are residents here. And unfortunately becoming residents is incredibly complex and difficult, and every time we've tried it we have come up against a brick wall. So we're now with the adoption social workers exploring new avenues, and so far with local DSD they said yes, they believe that is the right way to go. So we're now moving on to talk to 2 other organisations or parts of the organisation, Bishu and Central Authorities, and if they both also say yes, then the adoption is clear to go ahead. So we're excited about that. We would just ask that you please keep praying that would happen, and that we would get the permissions we need for this adoption to finally go ahead. And in the meantime, Mosa has recently turned 7 and is absolutely thriving, and we couldn't be happier with her in our family.
So DSD is the Department of Social Development, and it's been a long road. This whole eventually it will be a national adoption with an international element. So she has a human right, obviously, to remain in the family that she's bonded with. So that's basically what the adoption agency are using to fight our case. So eventually it will all come together. It's just been a long road, but we are excited about just being family together, and the fact that Owanke and Asipe have had their breakthrough has given us sort of renewed hope that our day will also come with Mosa.
So also recently we have had a pretty big fundraising push.
Thank you for this.
I will let Kate talk about that because it was her initiative and her blistered feet that paved the way.
So it did take 9 hours 27 minutes, I did stop to talk to one person on the way. So anyway, yes, I ran some of it, walked most of it. But the main thing is that it was completed, and you very sacrificially and generously gave over £10,000, which is enough for Sharon's house to have the running costs, the startup costs paid for, and then the first few months running costs. So that is going to be our home for pregnant mums in crisis, which we're hoping to have up and running by Easter next year, hopefully. So we're excited about that. So thank you for giving, and watch this space. We're delighted to see things coming together there. And we've been planting a vegetable garden as well.
One of the things we're very keen about is that it's not just a place for mothers to come and live while they are pregnant, but that they leave with some real life skills that will not only support them but support their families and their future children, and even if they choose, the children that they are pregnant with while they're in our care. But we realised that for us to do that, we also needed to know these life skills. So we have recently planted some vegetable gardens, and they are following a process called farming God's way. So it's what they call what's it called again? A garden of faithfulness.
A garden of faithfulness.
A garden of faithfulness.
Basically, so spinach, kale, spring onion, and green beans, and
so it's like 2 meters long. Yeah, it's 2 meters long by 1 meter wide, and we've been learning lots and lots from that, and things like Joseph declares it's the best beetroot he's ever had, but it's still beetroot.
And they're really big. So if you give the vegetables enough space to grow, they will actually get really big. So we are just incredibly excited, and our staff as well have all learned how to grow vegetables. Our 5 amazing house mothers, and this will be something that we can then teach, and it can be replicated anywhere. So that's really, really exciting, and we're just loving seeing life becoming a bit more sustainable out here.
One of our big problems here in South Africa at the moment is we're in the middle of a massive drought, and there's been several times when the city has just run out of water, and we haven't had any water in our tanks or taps for up to 5 days at one time. So trying to grow vegetables in the midst of that can be a bit complex, but we were able to install, let me do the sums, 8,500 litres worth of rainwater tanks that collect rain off our roofs, and they have been invaluable during those times for flushing toilets, but also for the rest of the time for watering the vegetables. So just a huge thank you to you all for being so generous with the marathon, but also a huge well done to Kate, because 46 kilometers is a huge amount.
It did take a long time.
And I saw the blisters on her feet afterwards. They were some of the biggest blisters I've ever seen, and I'm surprised she was still walking by the end of it.
Well,
so a huge well done to you.
Thanks, love.
And
I will train
she's hating
next
this.
time.
She's hating
I did
this.
train a little bit, just not a huge amount, but I will for the next one.
And the fact that she's saying there's going to be a next one shows you what kind of woman she is.
Absolutely, I will do it again, yes, with a bit more training, and actually have a respectable time the next time. So the last thing we wanted to say was just Happy Christmas.
Yes, Happy Christmas.
This scripture has been one that we've been kind of reading a lot over the last couple of weeks, and it's from Galatians chapter 4. When the time arrived that was set by God the Father, God sent his Son, born among us of a woman, born under the conditions of the law, so that he might redeem those of us who've been kidnapped by the law. Thus, we've been set free to experience our rightful heritage. You can tell for sure that you are now fully adopted as his own children, because God sent the Spirit of his Son into our lives, crying out, Father, Abba, Father. Doesn't that privilege of intimate conversation with God make it plain that you're not a slave but a child? And if you're a child, then you're also an heir with complete access to the inheritance. And then Eugene Peterson goes on to say that Abba is an Aramaic word. Aramaic was the language of 1st century Palestine and the native speech of Jesus. So Abba means father, but in a colloquial, intimate sense. The nearest equivalent in our language being papa or daddy. So our prayer for you this Christmas is that you would just have that intimate knowledge of God as your Father. And we just want to thank you so much for standing with us over this last year. We are just delighted as we look back to see just God's faithfulness. Yeah. And so the little garden that we've been planting has also been, it's referred to as a garden of faithfulness, because if we look after the little tiny seeds, then obviously fruit grows and vegetables grow, and so what God's given us, we do believe will grow in the coming year, and we're excited for 2021 and all that it's going to bring.
Yeah, we just want to say happy Christmas. We've been getting into the Christmas theme and Christmas spirit, listening to Robin Mark's new Christmas album. I think it's called
I'm not
Belfast
sure,
Christmas.
but it's his only
Christmas.
Christmas. It's his only.
It's on
Christmas
Spotify. Have a listen.
album.
It's
Really
fantastic. It just pulls us back
Really good.
back home to Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
But happy Christmas. Have a great Christmas, and yeah, I hope you get to celebrate and not feel too far away from family. And we understand your pain and everything of not being able to join in households and everything else because of COVID. We had planned to travel home to Ireland for this Christmas, but COVID made it impossible. But just, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
We love you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.